Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for inviting me for this conference. The topic that I have narrowed down my presentation on is largely just the interface between business and competition law, whether they are actually friends or are they foes. Now, the perspective from which I am going to speak on in terms of competition law is largely what is called law economics or economic analysis of law. And at this moment, I must pause to acknowledge the presence of Professor Dr. Madhava Menon, the founder director of National Law School, Bangalore. And someone like me who is standing over here and talking about law and economics is largely because of a person like him who ensured that interdisciplinary approach in law was initiated at National Law School in Bangalore. Well, the idea that I am going to present through this paper on the interface between competition law and business is that we all know about the creative destruction of capitalism. However, we must also understand that competition law is something which is quite a necessity for any capitalist economy for a simple reason that if you look at a country like USSR, the erstwhile USSR, it did not need a competition law, it did not have any competition law. If you are a communist economy in today's world, you don't need a competition law. The reason why you need competition law is only if you also believe in capitalism. The reason being that capitalism is believed to be a system in which you can find out what the right price is or what the correct price is. If you try and contextualize this meaning of competition law in modern context and particularly in India, you will look at the fact that there have been largely two factors which have made sure that competition law comes into existence on the statute book. One is of course the push factor, the external factors like the World Bank, World Trade Organization. Some of it has been mentioned by Dr. Vinod Dhal. I know also in terms of, let's say, modern day context, you have more than 100 jurisdictions which have some form of competition law on their statute book. In fact, the last count says there are 120 countries with competition law on their statute. There have also been some pull factors, the internal factors like, of course, 1991 crisis. There is also the idea of consumer welfare. If you pick up the statute itself, the Competition Act 2002, it says that consumer welfare is one of its objectives. Now, if you look at capitalism in terms of market realities, of course, market works very well. Dr. Vinod Dhal has been mentioning about benefits of market like, in telecom sector, in aviation sector. But what is also very well known is that markets can and do fail as well. If 2008 economic crisis has to be looked at, the reason why so many people were skeptical about market is because markets can and do fail. Now, there are three kinds of market failures which the economic literature actually mentions. One is, of course, when firms or corporates have some sort of market power. Second is about information asymmetry, and the third one is what is called externality. In terms of information asymmetry, it's very simple to understand. If there is somebody else who knows more than what you do, for instance, let's say there is a company, it wants to raise some money from you, it wants to sell shares. Now, it of course has more information than you already possess with yourself. So, a regulator like Securities and Exchange Board of India actually comes up with regulations which says, your market disclosures, the disclosure on information has to be in font size 10, in Times New Roman, so that everyone can actually understand what the disclosures really are. Competition law, of course, is a regulation which also wants to make sure that firms which actually have some sort of market power are not able to ensure that there is some sort of a harm which is caused to the consumers in a particular economy. Now, we also understand that if you look at the way these legal systems work, companies like human beings are also rational creatures in the sense that they are also capable of deliberation and choice. When I walked in the last session, I think Professor B.S. Chimney was citing Lon Fuller. And Lon Fuller, of course, besides the idea of inner morality of law and jurisprudence, is also somebody who talked about how as human beings, we are capable of deliberation and capable of choice, and that's one of the reasons why there shouldn't be a retrospective sort of legislation. I think, that is also quite true of companies when they arrange their own affairs in the corporate life. And if you have a law which they cannot comply with, that's largely actually useless. If you look at the current state of Indian competition law, we know that anti-competitive agreements, which is section 3, as well as abuse of dominant position, which is section 4, both of them are actually in force. What is not in force is the merger review provisions, which is section 5 and section 6, and this flagging this just as a matter of information. What I'm going to actually briefly dwell upon is the recent decision from the Supreme Court of India, what is called the Competition Commission of India versus Steel Authority of India Limited, the SAIL judgment. Of course, Jindal was one of the parties in that case as well. But there is another judgment which I will briefly touch upon. But the reason why I am touching upon these two judgments is because of Supreme Court analysis, which can be justified under the rubric of law and economics or economic analysis of law. First and foremost, under SAIL judgment, the Steel Authority of India Limited judgment, the outcome is quite interesting. It suggests that, as the Competition Act has been drafted, there is very limited right to appeal. Any law student knows that, appeal is not really an inherent right, it's a statutory right. I'm not going to actually talk too much on jurisprudence and philosophy of law. But, this Supreme Court judgment, what it says is, as has been stated in Competition Act, it's not as if every decision of Competition Commission of India can be appealed in the Supreme Court. Now that sounds commonsensical. Now what is interesting is Supreme Court also justifies this on the ground that this will make sure that the time taken is less. We are a country which has a lot of backlog on cases, and the fact that Supreme Court is concerned about it is quite interesting to my mind. And they also, they of course don't talk about reduction in transaction cost, but I noted with a lot of interest that Mr. Srivastava mentioned about, reduction of transaction cost for businesses. One of the transaction costs which companies face in India is about the undue delays which they face in courts. Now this is something, if not every order of Competition Commission of India is going to be appealed, this of course means that the time taken will be short. Now if you look at little more of economic analysis of this judgment on Competition Commission of India versus SAIL, if you compare the tribunal judgment with the Supreme Court judgment, it's quite interesting because the tribunal says, well, if you have read the case, you know that the reason why it was before the court is because Steel Authority of India Limited said, well, we did not get enough time to present before Competition Commission. We wanted more time, and the Competition Commission said, no, we are not going to give you more time. Now, the Appellate Tribunal, which is headed by a retired Supreme Court judge, Justice Arijit Pasai, he said, of course, principles of natural justice, the fact that Steel Authority of India Limited must be heard is quite important, and therefore, they must be given more time, and Competition Commission of India need not be a party to the dispute before the tribunal. Supreme Court reverses both of these and says, no, actually, it's not necessary that in all cases there has to be a principle of natural justice which is followed, because remember the reduction of transaction costs which is playing on in the minds of Supreme Court judges. And then they also say that in all cases, Competition Commission of India at the tribunal itself should be represented. Now this is quite interesting because we know that this conference is also about globalization in India and the US. So if you look at let's say the yardsticks for judicial review, if you look at a country like the US, there's something called deferential standard of review, which is largely about if you are looking at judgments made by certain expert bodies, then you must defer to their expertise as well. As opposed to this idea of deferential standard, there's something called de novo, which means afresh, largely new. You look at any particular case as if you are looking at it for the first time. Now this CCI versus SAIL judgment is very interesting because this could be cited as an instance of deferential standard review in India. Because firstly what Supreme Court does is quite unprecedented. It relies heavily upon regulations formulated by Competition Commission of India itself under Section 64 of Competition Act 2002 in order to hold in favor of Competition Commission of India. Now this is quite interesting. Also what they say is that, though principles of natural justice are dispensable, that is what the SAIL judgments suggest, but they say when you look at Section 33 kind of ex parte ad interim injunction, even there Supreme Court suggests that one must actually adhere to principles of natural justice. Now this I think reflects the changing attitude of Supreme Court in India, because if you are familiar with the history or the trajectory of competition law in India, there was a case called Brahmadutt versus Union of India way back in 2005. Dr. Dhal rightly mentioned the Competition Act is in India, the older act is MRTP Act 1969, long time ago. That was replaced by Competition Act 2002. It was actually passed by Parliament on 13th of January 2003, but the act is actually 2002. But you see, though the act is 2002, it actually started getting implemented only in 2007. The reason was this case, Brahmadutt versus Union of India, which was decided in 2005 by the Supreme Court of India. And the reason why Supreme Court at that time delayed the implementation of competition law, they were very concerned that Competition Commission consists only of retired bureaucrats and not judges, and therefore they said Competition Act must be changed. And it was. Because of 2007 amendment, what has also happened is the appellate tribunal has come in, which is headed by a retired Supreme Court judge. So I suppose the Supreme Court is very happy now. What has also happened after Brahmadutt versus Union of India is there is this judgment called PTC India versus Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. This is March 15, 2010. This talks about how an appellate tribunal does not have any competence to look at legislations formulated by the commission itself. Now, the last one which I have already mentioned is Competition Commission of India versus Steel Authority of India Limited, decided on September 9, 2010. Now, interestingly, to my mind, what it seems like is that increasingly Supreme Court is moving towards more certainty and more predictability in terms of competition law, and I think that's quite good for business because unless there is some sort of certainty and predictability, there is no point in having any kind of legislation which companies cannot really follow. There are of course nagging issues which are still left over. I'm just going to hurry up because I don't think we have enough time. We know that there is Competition Commission. There are also several other regulators. You have Securities and Exchange Board of India, you have Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, you have Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, you have Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, you have Airport Economic Authority, and many such regulators are actually coming in every year. Government plans to actually have more and more of such of these sector-specific regulators. Just yesterday, the Minister of Corporate Affairs, Mr. Salman Khurshid, who I understand was also here for inauguration, has said that this conflict between sector-specific regulators and Competition Commission of India has to be resolved very soon. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to function. And that is very commonsensical. It's quite logical because if there is conflict between two regulators, it will ensure that the law becomes more unpredictable. The question is, of course, whether Competition Commission of India, as it exists today, deserves the differential standard that we have talked about earlier. But that's a question I'll leave it for all of you to think about. I thank all of you for listening to me. If there are any questions, I'm happy to actually answer later on. Thank you very much.